please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar and with me is Ekta Batsara. Ekta, good afternoon. So the frontline indices today, both Sensex as well as Nifty, flattish but red in trades today. What's doing well is the banking stocks. Remember, ICICI Bank, which had been a drag, has shown some good amount of green today. Bank Nifty is up 0.21% as we speak. Midcap Universe also outperforming the rest of the key indices today and 0.3% up. IndusInd Bank is really shining in trade, Ekta.
Well, absolutely. You know, I just want to pull up some news with regards to Piramal Enterprises, where they have mentioned that the board yesterday approved the proposal to incorporate a wholly owned subsidiary for commencing the business of merchant banking. So they are planning to get into merchant banking. Remember that they already have an NBFC. They have the pharmaceutical as well as the NBFC business, which is already housed under Piramal Enterprises. And now they're saying that they want to get into merchant banking. They've set up a subsidiary for the same, or plans to do the same, and an investment manager and sponsor of a proposed alternate investment funds, including schemes launched by the fund in the infrastructure sector from time to time. But I think the most important news which is coming in, besides investment banking, is that they want to get into merchant banking services. So we'll try and get you more details on this. Just to put it into perspective, already has an NBFC housed under its name, already has a pharmaceutical business still under Piramal Enterprises. So we'll have to see what exactly the license mechanism would be in order for them to start this or to get into these kind of spaces. But that's the news which is coming in for Piramal Enterprises.
With a real estate fund also under one roof, with a housing finance for which they actually got a license some time back, and with this, it will be a complete portfolio of financial services, and the NBFC business is what Piramal Enterprises is really looking at creating, and the stock is up 1.25% as we speak.
Yes, absolutely. So Piramal Enterprises currently at around 2,500 rupees. But let's get back to the markets then and talk about the global market action. Remember that the US markets had a very tough session yesterday. It was down over 400 odd points for the Dow in terms of closing, but on an intraday basis, it was over a 700-point cut that we saw. And Asia really took that forward. There was some amount of recovery which was seen in the likes of the Hong Kong market, which was up around 0.4%, but mostly Asia has closed lower after what we saw on Wall Street, where tech stocks really sank. We had trade worries as well, which really impacted sentiment in the US markets. Europe too trades lower, taking cues from the US markets as well as Asia. So currently just about down around 0.7% for the German markets, the FTSE and the CAC also down 0.5% respectively. In fact, we spoke to Adrian Movat on what he makes of the global market and the outlook going forward. Let's listen in and we'll be back.
If you go back to 2017, it was really a story of better macroeconomic data across both the developed and the emerging world. And in January, we were probably at peak optimism around that. I think the prospects for economic activity in 2019 look less favorable than economic activity this year. And that seems to be what markets are pricing in.
All right, so that was about the markets. One stock in particular which has been in the news is ICICI Bank. It's showing a good amount of green today, is recovering after being beaten down because of the pressures really coming in. And let's take you straight to a CNBC TV18 exclusive on that front. And ICICI Bank's co-founder N.K. Vagul defends Chanda Kochar and the bank, saying that the debt of 3,250 crore rupees is not a new loan to Videocon, but a consolidation of exposure over a period of time. Listen into this exclusive excerpt.
3,250 crores of rupees represents a new loan. I don't think it is correct. In 2012, what was given at 3,250 crores represents the actual exposure of ICICI at that particular point of time. Represents a series of loans given to Videocon and its subsidiaries over a period of time, over a period of last 4 or 5 years, prior 2008 to 2012. Okay. And in 3,250 crores of rupees does not represent any increase in exposure. Okay. In fact, when you take the total consolidation, I am told that there is a reduction in the share insofar as the consortium is concerned. So no new facilities were given. ICICI Bank itself is concerned they have not done anything wrong. They have only consolidated an exposure, which was a performing loan for a period of 5 years, which has become non-performing and which will go into the insolvency. And from what Videocon's statement is concerned is that, well, it may be able to, bank would be making the provisions and for the bank is fully protected. There has been no conflict of interest. Secondly, I think there has been no quid pro quo in respect of that. And third, I think all disclosures have been made, whatever is required to be made. These are the three things which are made. And as far as I know, Mr. Sharma, who was former vice chairman of the Hindustan Liver and a very respected person, whatever he does, he used to do it fairly thoroughly.
Okay, well, some important statements coming in terms of an opinion for ICICI Bank, and just want to point out that ICICI Bank was seeing some amount of traction earlier in the day, so maybe we can just pull up the stock up around 0.5% off the day's high. Need to take a break now, but as we slip into a break, let's give you some good news. Your wait is now finally over. The market leader in business news is now available at your fingertips. CNBC TV18.com is coming soon on your phones. Always stay connected with CNBC TV18. Stay up to date with the latest market and financial news with our website CNBCTV18.com, coming soon on your iOS as well as Android devices. All the important news, videos, data and analysis just at the touch of a button. Welcome back. Well, just want to point out a couple of stocks. Actually, before we point that out, just want to focus on the advanced decline ratio, because the overall trend of the advanced decline ratio has actually been positive. There was at one point in the day where it could have probably crisscrossed, but now you're seeing that it's sustaining at around 2:1, with around 1,300 stocks advancing to around 700 stocks declining. Some news coming in on HCC, where they're in talks with LIC to complete formalities for debt conversion in equity. So those are some updates coming in, and you can see the stock in fact spiking up on the back of that news, up around 4% for HCC at this point. Remember that the stock has had quite a couple of tough trading sessions on the news reports with regards to Lavasa probably filing for bankruptcy. So now you can see that the news on your screen is in fact aiding in terms of momentum for the stock, up around 5.5% at this point. But the other stock in focus has to be Motherson Sumi. That stock is trading higher as the company is set to acquire Radel Automotive Group for $210 million. Sonia is here with what brokerages have to say on this deal. Sonia.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Ekta. Most brokerages have given a thumbs up to the Radel acquisition. CLSA says the Radel acquisition will be EPS accretive to the tune of 4 to 6%. They say that they've acquired the deal at a very attractive EV to EBITDA of more than 2 times the enterprise value at $138 million. This will help Motherson strengthen their position in certain key markets that they're not present in currently, the likes of Morocco, Philippines, Argentina, etc. Credit Suisse maintains an outperform. They've raised the target price of the stock to 450. They say that Radel acquisition comes at a great price. They also have exposure to Radel's big clients, the likes of the Renault Group, PSA, etc., and exposure to big markets in Europe as well. Nomura says Radel will add 10% to Motherson's FY19 revenues. It will add about 3% to Motherson's EBITDA, and it will take Motherson now closer to its target, its revenue target of $18 billion by FY20. And finally, Motilal Oswal says that there's a strong visibility of earnings for Motherson Group now. In fact, they have an expectation of a 25% revenue growth over the next 3 years. So clearly, most brokerages continue to like this acquisition. Let's listen into what the management had to say post-inking the deal.
This deal is expected to be EPS accretive from day one. We have existing credit lines able to fund this entire transaction and don't need to go after any other source of financing. And we believe that it's a very good fit for Motherson because it increases our exposure to different customers. This acquisition of Radel and a lot of engineering capability that Radel has, together with S&P's portfolio and Mate's portfolio, we believe we have a substantial offering to the car makers in terms of engineering capabilities for interior products. Radel is quite focused on the interiors of the car, so they have very good technologies there. It would also increase our footprint into countries where we are not present, like the Philippines, Indonesia, Croatia, Morocco, Argentina. These are all places where Motherson is not present today, but Redal is.
All right, for Motherson Sumi, it's the 21st acquisition that they have made. Let's shift focus to the auto sector now. Ashok Leyland as well as Escorts both are subdued in trade today. But remember that they reported strong sales for the month of March. And we spoke to the managements of both these companies. Let's hear out on the growth outlook going forward.
The industry has grown, has posted a pretty healthy growth for FY18. We've seen a 14% growth overall. Bus volumes were a tad low at the industry level, but we have been able to keep our leadership position. In the first half of the year, the industry actually saw degrowth. In the Q1 of last year, we saw 32% degrowth. But as the year passed on and you had stability coming in, you actually saw the demand kicking in. So things like, the demonetization, the BS3 to BS4, the GST implementation, I think a lot of things have now stabilized.
Overall, I think for the first quarter, which is going to be a very strong season for the Rabi crop. So we expect, I think it will give handsome, industrial growth for the industry. So you can actually look at double-digit growth happening in first quarter. But if you look at the full year FY18, we are ending it at about 11.1% market share, which is about 30 basis points up over last year.
Okay, well, strong spike up in the HCC stock after that news. In fact, up around 11-odd%. The stock is still down around 35-odd% on a year-to-date basis. So maybe this is a little bit of a relief which is coming in on that particular counter. But nonetheless, up around 10 to 11-odd% as we speak for HCC.
Let's take a look at the markets very quickly. And Sensex and Nifty, after turning into the green, have gone back, dipped back into the red at this point. One stock really which comes on my radar is IDFC Limited. It's shown a sharp rise in the last few minutes of trade, so probably we can keep an eye out for that particular counter. All right, moving on to some important developments of the day. And Binani Industries allowed to settle insolvency with the lenders. Analysts question whether this will really set a precedent for the defaulters to settle outside the IBC framework. Now, remember that Binani Industries, the parent company of Binani Cement, has been given an offer by Ultratech, which is above Dalmia Bharat's approved winning bid, which was approved by the RPNCOC. So at this point, this particular matter is becoming a precedent for the entire IBC world, because if this matter is settled outside of IBC, whether or not it will have a huge impact. In fact, we spoke to Samir Kaji, who's an advisor to Binani Industries a while ago, and here's a slice of the conversation on this particular matter.
We thought it would be best to try and settle with Ultratech, who we thought would be an ideal partner, and they had anyway enhanced the bid, meeting all the liabilities. So this is the background. If you ask me honestly, we can close this transaction. We have already written letters on last Friday or maybe Thursday to all lenders. We are ready to close the entire transaction within 14 days. Whether it is secured financial, unsecured financial, statutory or operational trade, we are ready to meet their legitimate legal claims. To be very honest, we would also want equity shareholders to gain and benefit. So we really need to sit down. We have not really sat down at the COC. We don't have certain numbers. There are gaps what we are requesting. Only once we do that, we will be able to work out the total 100% legitimate dues which we want to pay.
Okay, well, staying with the story and on to a CNBC TV18 exclusive now. We learned from sources that Binani Industries has not presented a concrete proposal to lenders. Ritu Singh is here with more details on this. Ritu, go ahead.
Well, Ekta, today the NCLAT has directed that the lenders and Binani Industries can settle insolvency proceedings, which is to say that the court is not really directing either party to go with the settlement or to go with one or the other offer. But in the case that Binani Industries has been talking about the settlement offer, here's what the bankers have to say. Firstly, no concrete proposal has been put on the table in front of the Committee of Creditors so far by Binani Industries, claiming to repay all of the dues that they're talking about. All of these offers that have been spoken about the 7,266 crore rupees, which they will raise by way of sale of Binani Cement to Ultratech Cement. That has only come as a press release and discussed in the court, but not really in front of the Committee of Creditors yet. The second contention that the bankers have is that 7,266 crore rupees, that is not all the dues that are pending to be repaid as of now. If a settlement offer is to be considered by the bankers, here's what they have to say. The total dues that will have to be settled by Binani Industries will be to the tune of 8,100 crore rupees. That is the amount that they will look at if at all a settlement offer is considered. Bankers, in fact, also raised the question about, Binani proposing to repay within 14 days. In that, the Ultratech will first have to raise this money, which they're yet to do. So on the basis of all of this, the lenders are also meeting tomorrow. This is the core committee of the lenders. Edelweiss, Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, State Bank of India will be meeting to discuss the way forward for the company. But as of now, no proposal, so to say, has been even put on the table by Binani.
All right, thanks Ritu for getting us all those exclusive details. Moving on then, the e-way bill is finally here. Around 5.5 lakh e-way bills have been generated till 4 p.m. last evening that we checked, and this includes over 2.5 lakh e-way bills generated on the first day of April and around 2.9 lakh e-way bills generated yesterday. Now here's a ground report on how this is really impacting the intrastate movement of goods.
Well, after a flop show in February, the government has made a second attempt at rolling out e-way bill, this time with a stronger IT network. But does the e-way bill go out there and achieve the basic objective of ensuring smooth flow of goods across state borders? Let's find out. Well, I have decided to ride shotgun on this particular truck coming from the state of Andhra Pradesh, carrying auto components, and let's just understand from the driver himself if the new e-way bill regime has made any difference to his working day. सर, आप मुझे पहले ये बताइए, आप आंध्र प्रदेश से ये गाड़ी आता है महाराष्ट्र तक, कितना चेक पोस्ट आपको बीच में लगता है?
3 लगता है।
3 चेक पोस्ट। हाँ,
पहला चेक पोस्ट अपना वो लगता है हैदराबाद के जहराबाद का लगता है, ठीक है। दूसरा होमनाबाद का लगता है और तीसरा महाराष्ट्र में लगता है, वो उमरगा, उस्मानाबाद जिले में उमरगा का लगता है। 1-1.5 घंटा एक चेक पोस्ट को 1-1.5 घंटा लगता है।
अच्छा, तो 3 मिला के आपका आराम से नहीं तो 5-6 घंटा चला जाता है?
हाँ, चला जाता है।
आपको सरकार ने ई-वे बिल लागू किया है, सबसे बड़े फायदे क्या देखने में मिले आपको?
हर दिन में 1-2 घंटा लगता है गाड़ी रुकने के लिए। प्रत्येक हर एक चेक पोस्ट में गाड़ी खड़ा करना पड़ता है हमारे को। हाँ, अब तो दिन में तो कुछ नहीं रुकने को जरूरत नहीं पड़ी हमारे को।
और आपका डीजल भी बहुत बर्बाद होता होगा चेक पोस्ट पे रुकने के, उधर कुछ फ़ायदा आपको हुआ?
हमारा दिन में एक जगह पे कौन से चेक पोस्ट पे नहीं रुका हम। हाँ, वो चेक पोस्ट में नहीं रुका तो हमारा 100-200 रुपये डीजल का फ़ायदा हो रहा। हाँ, हमारे को।
बहुत लोग ये भी बोल रहे हैं कि लोग बीच में आके ट्रक को रोक के ई-वे बिल मांग रहे हैं, आपके डॉक्यूमेंट्स मांग रहे हैं। आपको ऐसी कोई परेशानी का सामना करना पड़ा?
नहीं, हमारे को कोई भी, अब तो ये दिन में तो कोई भी नहीं खड़ा किया रास्ते में।
So clearly, as far as the ground situation is concerned, it seems like good first couple of days for the e-way bill. But yes, informing these truckers about the various aspects of the bill remains to be a challenge, and the government would certainly hope that it's second time lucky as far as the rollout for e-way bill is concerned. In Mumbai, for CNBC TV18, Yash Jain.
Okay, and on that note, we're going to wrap up Business Lunch. Stay tuned, Midcap Radar just after a short break.